Zenyatta has a lot of ground to make up. Zenyatta, if she wins this, she'll be a super horse. She's starting to pick them off though. Zenyatta gonna hook to the outside. Meanwhile, it's Colonel John Summerbird in the red cap. Zenyatta's come to the outside. Zenyatta coming flying on the grandstand side. Giro Ponti on the inside. Summerbird is right there. This is unbelievable. Zenyatta.
Hello, it's Bob Pandolfo on Monday, April 1st, 2024. Welcome to Power Pace with Pandy. And we're going to talk a little bit about the races from Saturday. I had some great racing on Saturday. And oh, by the way, I just want to let you know, too, I gave out some free picks on my website today. And had a $33 horse. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, here's my website, Sharp Horses. So I gave out some. These haven't run yet in Mahoning Valley, but Parks, first race, Inside Secret won and paid $33 and change. And the 7-4 exacta paid, I think, $242. So I'll talk about that in another video, why I picked that horse. But that was on my website today as a free pick. So I want to talk a little bit about these great races you had on Saturday. I had the races on all day long because in the morning you had races from Dubai World Cup at Meydan Racetrack. And then, you know, later on you had the Florida Derby, great card at Gulfstream, and then you had the Arkansas Derby in Oakland Park. So in the Florida Derby, Todd Pletcher's horse Fierceness went wire to wire. Really interesting, this horse. You know, this race on August 25th, on my website, I have, yeah, I'll show you here. I have track bias that I do on my website, and on that particular day, it was August 25th last summer, and you could see here I said races 5 through 10 plus speed, sealed wet track. The track appeared to be playing fairly for the first 3 races when it was muddy sealed, but after that it was clearly very speed favoring. And then you can see I have Horses to Watch Fierceness by City Delight, who gunned to the lead and drew off impressively. So it was a speed favoring track. He got the lead and he just crushed the field. Then he comes back into Champaign and he lunged at the start. So, you know, you could draw a line through that. He didn't break well. It was only his second start. He was moving into a grade 1. Then he runs in the Juvenile, going 2 turns for the first time in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and again he crushes the field. And this time he ran a very strong late pace figure. You can see 109 right here, 109. Then he comes back. This was weird, the Holy Bull. He comes back in Holy Bull and he duels for the lead through a very slow pace, and he finishes 3rd. And that was a disappointing race. So, you know, the horse has his detractors. You know, people are saying, you know, he has to be loose on the lead, or, you know, he can't get the distance and all this kind of stuff. He does have a speed pedigree, but, you know, we've seen in the Kentucky Derby, you know, in the last 20 years or so, everything's changed in the Kentucky Derby. You know, years ago it used to be that, you know, you had to be bred to run long and you had to have a big long stride, but now we've had plenty of horses that had speed pedigrees that have won the Kentucky Derby. You've had New York breds that won a Derby. You've had horses that don't have much of a foundation. You know, they haven't raced much that won the Kentucky Derby. And these are all things that years ago you never would have considered. But Fierceness, he comes back, he was training well, he comes into the Florida Derby, and here's the chart. Let's go down to... So a lot of the horses looked like they were leaving, but the first quarter only went in 24. So what happened was, I think most of the jockeys who left the gate, they really didn't want the lead. They just were trying to get forwardly placed, you know, so they weren't too far off the pace. So as it turns out, Johnny Velasquez was able to get Fierceness to the lead pretty easily in 24. But then he just completely bottomed out the field. I mean, he got to the top, you know, the final turn before they hit the quarter pole. He just started to open up on the field. I mean, this was really an impressive race. You know, I went through all the races too, and it didn't look like the track was lightning fast or anything. It's a little hard to say because they run, you know, there were turf races, there were synthetic races, but Fierceness, I mean, this was impressive. So in the Kentucky Derby, I think a big key is going to, the first quarter. 24, they let him get away in 24. He could be really tough to catch. I would imagine they're going to try not to do that, try not to let him get the lead, but he's going to be the favorite. I don't think there's any question about that. After that, and this was a powerful race because this is the first time he's going 9 furlongs, and he didn't look like a horse that has a speed pedigree and doesn't have any stamina. I mean, you draw off like this, it looked like you could get a mile and a quarter. Even though he's not bred for it, like I said, that doesn't even make any difference anymore with these horses. So I wanted to show you one other horse that raced that on Saturday. Most of the dirt times weren't that fast, but Todd Pletcher had another horse. Now, he trains Fierceness. He debuted a horse named Mindframe. Now, this horse, this is his first lifetime start. They're going fast fractions, very fast, 44 and 2. And he's only 2 lengths back at the first call. He's 3 lengths back at the second call, at the half. And then he just draws off. Similar to Fierceness, he wins by like 13 lengths. This was really an impressive race. I mean, and he's a 3-year-old. He's not a 2-year-old. But I mean, first lifetime start. This wasn't just fast. This was professional. I mean, this horse, he's bred for speed also. But still, I mean, this is just a powerful debut. Now, if you go to the Beyer figures, these are the top 3-year-old figures this year. Fierceness now, with his Florida Derby win, has 110 Beyer figure. So he's the fastest 3-year-old in the country. Nisos, who's an undefeated 3-year-old trained by Baffert, he's not going to run in the Derby. He wasn't going to run in the Derby anyway because he's trained by Baffert, and Baffert's still not allowed to run his horses there. But now they claim some sort of minor injury or something like that. I don't know. We've heard this story before. I hope to God that Nisos races again, because he's an impressive looking horse also. But he's not going to be racing for a while. Then Mindframe. So basically, if Nisos doesn't race anymore, or doesn't race anymore this year, Todd Pletcher has the 2 fastest 3-year-olds in the country, with Fierceness and Mindframe, at least on the Beyer figures. Personally, I think what I saw of Mindframe, I would say he's better than all these other horses, even though he's only raced once. I mean, that was, you have to be a really, really good horse to do what he did in your debut. I mean, 121 and what was it, 121 and 4? Let's go back to the chart. 121 and 3. Sitting off, close to a fast pace. I mean, that was so. Now, Muth won the Arkansas Derby. He's another horse trained by Baffert who will not be able to run in the Derby. Muth raced well. He doesn't look like a killer to me, but, he can keep improving. But right now, Todd Pletcher, boy, he's sitting pretty with, these 2 really talented horses, Fierceness and Mindframe. Now, another really interesting thing from Saturday was, the Dubai World Cup. A lot of good racing out there. Both of these cards were fantastic. Gulfstream card and the Arkansas Derby card was good too. But the Dubai World Cup, really good card. This is kind of fascinating. This horse won the World Cup. This, rich race. I forget what the purse was. What was it, like 10 million, 12? I don't know. I forget. But this horse, Laurel River, went wire to wire and just, crushed the field. Similar to these 2 horses I just showed you. I mean, I don't have the chart because it's the Dubai World Cup. I can't find a chart. But if you haven't seen the race, it's fun to watch. I mean, but he went to the lead. I mean, look at this horse. Now, he's trained by, he was bred by Juddmonte Farms, which is, one of the all-time great ownership and breeding farms. You may remember, excuse me. You may remember training Bobby Franco, the great trainer. He trained for Juddmonte, and he had a lot of, really good horses with them. So this horse was in the Baffert barn early in his career, and he raced once as a 2-year-old. Then he comes back as a 3-year-old, and he wins, runs a pretty good race. Then he has a couple of defeats. He wins the non-winners of one at Del Mar as a 3-year-old by 12 lengths. Then he comes back as a 4-year-old, and he wins 2 races at Del Mar. And then he doesn't race anymore for a couple of years. So he didn't race at all last year. Now he's a 6-year-old, and he comes back in a sprint, and he finished 7th on January 26th. Now he's not trained by Bob Baffert anymore. He's trained by Tad O'Shea. So then they put him in the a 1 mile race on March 2nd, and he wins easily. And now he gets a 1:15 speed figure. And now this is on the Trackmaster, so this is Equibase speed figures. So he comes in here as a 6-year-old against some pretty good horses. I mean, this is not a bad field. I mean, you had Senor Buscador, you had Ushba, I don't know how you pronounce it, Ushba Tesoro, who, as you can see, has won. He won 4 or 5 races last year. He ran good in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He won the 3-year-old race at Dubai World Cup. He won the Dubai World Cup last year. And so you have like 3 really good horses in here. Besides, this Japanese horse is another horse who really, who has some big races. You had Defunded in here. But this horse, Laurel River, I mean, he just crushed this field. And he's another horse that, a lot of people, they thought maybe he was a sprinter. They had been running him mainly in one-turn races. But his pedigree is excellent for a distance of ground. Into Mischief is an outstanding sire. He can produce horses for any distance and surface. And, of course, he's out of an Empire Maker dam, which is plenty of stamina there. And this horse had no problem stretching out. He looked fantastic. I mean, it looked like it was better for him. And you can see, too, that he ran his best race of his career going a mile here, and then he won it a mile. And then, going this 1.25 mile race, he looked better than ever. And, when you go longer like that, the advantage is that you can just lope along. You don't have to, you're not going blazing fractions. And a horse like this was just able to relax into a stride. Now when he came to the stretch, he had so much left. And the only thing that's a shame about this is that this ownership, once they put him out in the Middle East like this, and they keep him at Meydan, they're not going to race this horse much. They already said, well, we're going to arrest him. I mean, the horse has only raced twice, like in the last 3 years, and they want to give him a rest. So who knows when this horse will race again. It's really a shame because everybody would like to see this horse race. I mean, this was a monster race in the Dubai World Cup, and he's a lightly raced 6-year-old. There's no telling how good he can be. It'd be great if they bring him for the Breeders' Cup Classic later in the year, but my guess is you'd be lucky if this horse races one more time this year. I mean, this is the way they are. They rest their horses. They'll point them to this race next year, and then they're talking about the Saudi Cup, which is next year. So who knows? We just have to hope that they decide to race him a few more times. We get a chance to see him. The way they arrest these horses, and these people, once they put them out in the Middle East, they just they're rich. They don't care. They just they're not interested in running in any ordinary races anyway. So just one of those things. But Saturday was it was a really good racing. It's a big day for thoroughbred racing now. On Florida Derby Day, if you're going to run, if they're going to do this every year, where they're going to run the races in the Dubai World Cup with the Arkansas Derby and the Florida Derby on the same day. That's like one of the biggest racing days of the year. So we'll see what happens, though. Right now, I have no idea who I'm going to pick in the Kentucky Derby. A lot of people are saying, they want to take a chance against the Pletcher horse, against Fierceness, because he's inconsistent, or he needs to lead. But we'll see. I mean, Mindframe is not going to be in the Derby, unfortunately. I mean, he only raced once. But we'll see. I have to really take a look at the race. I never make an early decision on these races anyway. I like to look at the, I go back, look at all the replays for all the preps, and then go over the races, all the past performances and workouts and things like that. But anyway, do me a favor, subscribe to my channel, like the video, because I like to do more videos, and the more people that like the videos and subscribe to my channel, this way I have a chance to keep doing these shows. But lots of luck, and I hope you enjoyed these races and enjoyed my show, and thanks for listening.